Back to this breaking news, and again, it is just moving, courtesy of the Wall Street Journal, that this man, Governor Brian Sandoval, the Republican from Nevada, is apparently being vetted by the Obama administration right now to fill the vacated seat of Justice Antonin Scalia, who just died over the weekend. This, according to two people familiar with the matter. As we look at all of this, let us bring in our political panel right now. Democratic strategist Simon Rosenberg here with Fox News contributor Deroy Murdock. This is an interesting one because the president had just written on a blog that was related to the Supreme Court that he was going to go ahead, much to the Republicans' angst, and he would float a name. And now, Simon, we may have that name. Again, this is according to the Wall Street Journal, but it may be Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval, who is a Republican. What's the thinking with the Obama administration here?
Well, I think the Obama administration is going to fulfill their constitutional obligation, and they're going to appoint someone, I assume, in the next few weeks. They've said repeatedly they want it to be a consensus pick. They're not going to try to drive a big wedge. I think now they know this is a tough time for the Republicans, and I think they want to try to get this done. So I think this is a signal that they're looking far afield and that they really want to try to bring somebody forward who could get the support of Republicans.
Deroy, I'm reading now the Washington Post headline, which just moved, is floating Brian Sandoval's name for the Supreme Court just an elaborate troll of Republicans. Why would they say that? Because he's more of a centrist Republican, correct?
Well, he's maybe centrist, even a liberal Republican. He raised taxes, and that's something the Republicans don't do very much anymore, and he's gotten a lot of criticism for that. Look, Obama's many things, and one of them is crafty, and there's a very, very crafty way to handle this. He could have picked a left-wing judge and put that person's name up, and of course the Republicans say we don't want a left-wing judge, it'll flip the court. It's harder to make that argument if this is an actual member of the same party that controls the U.S. Senate.
Will the senators take it up? They have already said through Mitch McConnell, no way at all.
I guess what they'll do is not take it up, but again, it's going to be very hard from a PR standpoint to say, look, we're not even going to hold a hearing for somebody who's a sitting Republican governor.
Okay, so that's breaking news. Let us get to what's happening, I guess, on the campaign trail. We are awaiting President Bill Clinton, who is obviously stumping for his wife Hillary at the moment. And Simon, as we look at all that's happening there, she handily won the most recent caucus. And so what you see here is an opportunity in advance of South Carolina and the Democratic primary for her. Could it be to wrap this thing up, or Bernie Sanders holding tight? Vermont's still on the calendar, Massachusetts, states that really could go in his favor.
Yeah, listen, I think both parties are in a very similar place now. I mean, there's now a prohibitive frontrunner, someone who's emerged as the person who's in the driver's seat. It's Clinton and Trump. And I think on our side, but the key now is that voters still have to vote. This thing isn't over. Things can happen. We've already seen this. It's a very unpredictable race, but we're going to know a lot more in the next couple of weeks. And certainly it's hard to see now how it isn't Clinton and Trump a few months from now facing off in the general election.
Deroy, what Simon just said is exactly the same sentiment people who are sticking up for Rubio, Cruz, and Kasich are saying, and Dr. Carson as well. This thing's not over, and it's not fair for the media to act like it is.
A lot of voters have not voted yet. There are big contests to come. It is a very unpredictable year. Who knows what can happen tomorrow or in 48 hours. I think the Republicans have to do a much better job of focusing on Donald Trump, his previous support for Democratic candidates, for example. They ought to talk more about the donations he's given Democrats.
Don't care, Deroy. They don't. He handily won in
This
Nevada.
is true. And well, nothing seems to stick. I mean, he got in a fight with the Pope last week, and his numbers went up. And all you can do is try. I mean, it's like fighting Godzilla. You got to throw something at him, right?
Well, Simon, we could laugh, but it is no laughing matter about the democracy and how our country works on this. As we look forward to Saturday, Bernie Sanders is, people have said he's surrendering South Carolina, moving on. He is not spending a single day in the state of South Carolina in advance of that primary. Will that hurt him even more?
Yeah, look, he's going to lose South Carolina, but what's important for him now is on March 1st, there are 5 states that he's sort of sticking the stake in the ground, right? It's Massachusetts, Minnesota, Colorado, Oklahoma, and Vermont, right? That he has to perform very well. If he doesn't win 3 or 4 of those states, the window, which was already narrow for him, starts to really close. And so we're going to know a lot on the Democratic side next Tuesday. It's a very consequential day in our race, certainly.
Troy.
If I were Bernie Sanders, I would tell voters Hillary Clinton is not under investigation only by the FBI, but now we heard today the Department of Justice prosecutors. And whether she's guilty or innocent or not, he needs to raise the question with Democrats. What will happen if it's October 15th, and she's not campaigning in Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Michigan? She's sitting in a courtroom delivering testimony under oath. There's a real possibility that if I were a Democrat, I'd be very concerned that that's what my nominee would be doing 2 or 3 weeks before the election.
Good to see both of you.